On the Discord server, I've had a couple of people post local restaurants that have no gun signs on the doors. And of course, they're saying that they're not going to go to these places, and that's okay if you choose not to. But there's a different kind of a sign showing up on this restaurant, which is now starting to get a whole lot of national attention. A restaurant has a new sign, has gun control supporters going crazy. For those who know the truth, realize this is one of the safest places to bring your family for a meal in the country. So here's the sign. It has green notice on the top, a gun, it's a 1911, a green circle around the gun, not a red one. It says lawful, open, and concealed carry is welcome here. We refuse to be disarmed, a disarmed victim zone. Help keep our town safe and crime-free. Keep your weapon holstered unless the need arises. And it's a sign from friendorfoe.us. So that's where they got the sign. Now, that's pretty darned awesome, because you usually run into a place with no guns of any kind, no weapons of any kind, or whatever. Now, there's a bill in Michigan. I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet. I think I mentioned it on the stream. There's a bill in Michigan that would make any establishment who doesn't allow firearms to be liable for anybody who gets injured, okay? For something like that. I don't know what the latest status is on that. I'll check on it this week before we get to the weekend. So anyway, the article continues in the Federalist Papers. Would you feel safe taking your family to a restaurant with a sign like this? Of course. I'm not an insane person. What Democrats never seem to understand is that Americans will never support gun control. The Democrats and the media. It's not fair to lump all Democrats in with this. The Democrat establishment certainly is in this ballpark, but not all Democrats nationally. The Democrats and the media would have you believe that the country is in the middle of an epidemic of mass shootings led by white supremacists, which, of course, is not happening at all. It's all fake news. Let's see. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, mass shootings that affect innocent and random people are exceedingly rare in our nation of almost 400 million people. Inflated the population just a tidbit on. Hey, I get it. You're not that far off, but you're talking about tens of millions of people. Let's just keep it down. It's about 350 million people. Consider these facts about mass shootings via America Greatness. There were 387 deaths from mass shootings in the United States in 2018. That's all mass shootings, not just rifle mass shootings, okay? Of those, most were regular criminals, as we expect to see in gang-related drive-bys, bar fights, strangely. A large number of shootings at parties. About 100 deaths were the result of a random psycho killer shooting that dominated the news coverage for days and weeks at a time. Mercifully, those are quite rare, but that's not the impression that we are given with the news coverage, which, of course, we have gone over with you several times. But it is interesting to see that you're starting to see a little bit more of the pushback on this stuff. So a little bit more of the businesses out there saying, hey, look, we're okay letting people know that we let law-abiding gun owners in this establishment. And so I guess the thing that I would say for businesses out there is a sign like this actually might lose you business, okay? And depending on where you're at. And a sign that says no guns will lose you business. And I can tell you that there is a local restaurant right up the road that I do go to on a regular basis. It's weird, Joe. I've never seen that sign on their door. Really? Yeah, I know that it's been there. I've just never seen it. It's almost like it's been camouflaged and just unnoticeable to me. I don't know how that is. But I do. I go there regularly. And on the sign says no guns or weapons of any kind. Paraphrasing there. Don't quote me on the actual language of it. And I'm watching my Discord server now, and I'm just watching a bunch of people like, they're not getting my business anymore. They're not doing it. Now, I don't know. It's been there for a while. I don't know how many people actually go there on a regular basis, but I can tell you that having a sign like that angers people. And it will, you are more likely having any kind of sign like this. You are more likely to upset a segment of potential customers. If you don't have any sign at all, you just leave it off at the table, okay? You don't have a pro or an anti-gun sign. Nobody is not going to go into your establishment, right? You have all of your bases covered. There's not going to be anybody who goes in there and says, what is your gun policy? I don't see it on the door, okay? You might have one nutso, but they work for No Ma'am and not No Ma'am. That's Al Bundy's organization. Mom's Demand. Sorry. Freudian slip. So Mom's Demand, they're going to work for Mom's Demand, and nobody really cares what they think anyway. So there's no sense in even putting a sign on there. Now, with that said, I'm totally cool with a sign like this. I still think it would be a better business decision to not have a sign like this because it draws attention. But if you are only concerned about bringing in a niche clientele, and there's nothing wrong with that either, because niche clienteles can actually make you a substantial amount of money, sometimes more money than a broad-based clientele can. So there's nothing wrong with that if that's what they're going for. And if this business wants legitimately for their customer base to be armed, why not? Why not throw it up there? There are businesses out there that used to give, I don't know if they still do, used to give free food and drinks to police officers. And the reason that they did that is they wanted cops to come by and sit in their establishment and eat. And yes, donut shops got famous for doing that because of the hours that donut shops are open happen to be hours that you get robbed, okay? So that's when that tradition kind of started. But yeah, they would have these officers sitting in there on a regular basis. And who doesn't go into a place to rob it when cops are there? Yeah, bad guys don't. So it was one of those things where like, yeah, we're giving up free food and free drinks, but we don't get robbed. So, and cops aren't going to abuse that for the most part. And you might have one or two that do that, but for the most part, you know, they'll come by, they'll sit down, they'll eat, they'll enjoy their beverage or whatever, and they're keeping the place safe from robbery, especially in parts of town where robbing businesses tends to be commonplace. So if you've got a sign like this, if you're a bad guy and you walk up to that door and you see that this is a pro-gun zone and they're encouraging people who own firearms to come in, do you take a risk trying to rob the place? I'm willing to bet 99% of bad guys won't. The other 1% are high on something and they didn't notice the bright green sign on their door. But just my 2 cents, I could, I guess, be wrong. But it is interesting to see that starting to show up. And this is not the first time I've seen this sign over the past year or so hit the news. We've got more coming up on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.